What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a video about the First Berserker Khazan, which is an upcoming action RPG that I plan on reviewing later on in March when it actually releases, but thanks to a publicly available demo that they launched not all that long ago, a few days to be exact, I was able to try it out for myself, as you could as well if you'd like, and naturally I wanted to talk a little bit about that, because with basically any game like this, it's hard to get a lot of traction amidst, like people just saying it's another Souls-like, so anything these games can do to set themselves apart is usually a move in the right direction. Now, in the case of this game, it is apparently set in the Dungeon Fighter Online universe, which honestly I'm not super familiar with myself, but from what I understand is a pretty big deal. But seeing how this one is going to be set like 800 years before all of that, it really shouldn't be that off-putting to newcomers. Right away, though, I will say that the combat of this game feels fantastic, and I really love the art style. But let's take it one step at a time. Now, this demo will carry over its progress to the full game if you decide to buy it in late March 27th, I think to be specific, which is something I always like to see in demos, but also, it was running pretty well. Fully rebindable keys on keyboard and mouse, no technical issues, at least as far as the demo's runtime went. So as demos go, pretty solid experience. Now in terms of the game itself, we of course play as Khazan, a great hero of an empire who, after outliving his usefulness frankly, is betrayed, brutally tortured, and is being sent to essentially just die in the wilderness right at the beginning of the game. On the journey, however, a vengeful spirit finds and possesses you, bringing you back from the brink of death, and then forcing you forward. Now, after a small introductory area, you'll get to choose a difficulty, so it looks like this will have like an easy or normal difficulty at the very least, but after which we go on a small trial to overcome the ghost that has possessed us before making a deal with it. Basically, this spirit, the Blade Phantom, wants to bring order to the Netherworld. Something is wrong there, and it needs to sort that out, which it needs a physical body for, which is why it possessed you because of your strong emotions about being betrayed. You, of course, want revenge on the people that did this to you, so it all works out in the end. And by worked out in the end, I of course mean it's a blood-soaked adventure full of death and destruction. Now, while it would be, of course, easy to slap the Souls-like label on this, I would say it honestly plays something a little closer to, like, Nioh as an example, as there's a lot of loot you'll be finding, item sets, that kind of thing, and also a lot of ways to customize exactly what your playstyle is here, but it still does incorporate some basic Souls-like elements, just like games like Nioh do. For instance, the stats will, gain our experience as we kill things, we'll bring that back, then spend on increasing our stats, which gives us increases to a whole bunch of secondary stats that will almost certainly come with some form of diminishing return, but there are a couple other things as well. So as we fight and perform in combat, we will also earn skill points which we can spend on one of the various skill trees for our individual weapons, but also more generalized ones. Now, the weapon skill points allow you to focus on what types of attacks you enjoy making with that weapon as well. So at the very least, it looks like with the combination of this and item sets with the armor, there will at least be some level of variation in between builds based upon what you're using. Now, at least in this demo, what I saw was dual wielding, great swords, and spears. I'm uncertain if there's more weapon types or anything. I haven't necessarily seen any. I think there might be claw weapons in there, because I saw an enemy using one at least. So there's that. When it actually comes to combat, I've got to say it feels incredible to actually play this. The timings and everything are fantastic. In particular, I've really been enjoying parrying, which they call a brink guard, blocking right as the attack hits you. Triggers a parry, and then there are skill trees that actually lean into that, or just straight up guarding. For instance, I was able to get a skill that caused damage to the enemy every time I parried them, which reduces their stamina, and then when their stamina is fully dropped, if you don't let it replenish, you can perform what they call a brutal attack, which I could then gain health off of if I hit them in the front with it. But you could also go for something more light and mobile, such as a dodge build, who's a little more capable of doing things like throwing javelins as a standalone ability as well. So there certainly seems to be a lot of options, but in every case that I messed around with, again, just the timing and the impact and just the feedback of everything you're doing is really good stuff. Now, with how good combat feels and the fact that I really like the just general look of this game, would be enough for me as long as the story manages to land. But as for a shorter checkout video, I think that basically covers everything I wanted to mention here at least, which is mostly just that it seems to be a very good demo, and while I was already planning on reviewing this one anyway, this actually has me feeling pretty good about it moving towards March when it is supposed to release. So I think when it releases, if it manages to keep up this early momentum across the length of that entire experience, we're likely in for a pretty good time as far as action games go. But naturally, we'll see if that's actually the case or not, but it makes a good first impression to be sure. But that is pretty much going to do it for this particular video. Hope you enjoyed this look at the game. Do let me know if you tried it out for yourself, or just generally what you think about it, which naturally means to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.